measure of position, location for group data. Okay, for group data, we already have discussed about quartile 2. So in this video, we are going to discuss about quartile 1 and quartile 3. So the first way to calculate quartile 1 and quartile 3 is using formula. So step number 1, you have to find the cumulative frequency for each class interval. Step number 2, you need to calculate the position of the first quartile. So the formula is slightly different because if you look at the previous video, for ungrouped data, we have to plus 1, n plus 1 divided by 4. But then since this is for group data, so the formula for position for quartile 1 is n divided by 4. And then for the third quartile, 3 multiplied by n divided by 4. And then you have to remember n is actually equals to cumulative frequency. Step number 3, find the class for each quartile. Step number 4, substitute the value into the formula. So you don't have to get worried because final exam, the formula will be given. So this is the formula for quartile 1 and then this is formula for quartile 3. And then you have to remember C is the class size. And then this is the symbol for cumulative frequency divided by 4. And then Q1 minus 1 right here is actually cumulative frequency for the classes before quartile 1 class. So this is also the same with quartile 3. Cumulative frequency for the classes before quartile 3 class. And then over here is the frequency for quartile 3. And then right here is the frequency for quartile 1. So that's for using formula. So the next one, we have ogive. Step number 1, you have to find the position for the first quartile. Also the same formula. And then step number 2, you need to draw the horizontal line from the y-axis. We will discuss about this in example later. Okay, let's say you already forgotten about what is group data. So this is the example of group data. So you need to know that in order for you to classify a data to be a group data, you have to have class interval. So for this one, you have class interval from 30 up to 39. So the question here, find the first and third quartile for the above data and then give your comment. Okay, so this is the solution. So first I'm going to show you how to use the formula. So step number 1, find the cumulative frequency. I hope we don't have to discuss this in this video because we already discussed this in the previous video. So please replay those videos if you don't remember how to calculate it. And then determine the interval. This is also the same. Step number 2, find the position of the first quartile. So using the formula n, so cumulative frequency over here, cumulative frequency, the total value for your cumulative frequency is 50. So 50 divided by 4, so you have the position of quartile is actually 12.5. And then you need to refer in the interval. So which of the intervals from the classes actually contain this value 12.5. So based on this, we already know that this highlighted, this is actually the class for quartile 1. So step number 3, find the first quartile class. Okay, right there. And then for quartile 3, the position is 37.5. So this is the interval. So this is for quartile 3. And then you need to calculate, you only have to replace the value. So LQ1 is actually the lower class boundary of the quartile 1. So in this case, after you calculate the class boundary, this is your lower quartile 1. value. That's why over here we have 49.5. And then for cumulative divided by 4, we already calculate this before. The value is 12.5. So this is 12.5. And then we have 9. 9 is actually the cumulative frequency before the quartile 1 class. So over here we have 9. 9 is actually cumulative frequency of the group before the quartile 1. So that's why the value is 9. And then below here we have 9, also 9. This is actually the frequency of the quartile 1. Okay, and then the class size is 10, and then you have to calculate using calculator. The final answer is 53.39. So the same thing happens for quartile 3. So after you highlighted the quartile 3 class, you need to look at the lower class boundary. So in this case, for quartile 3, we have 69.5. 69.5. And then we already calculate this one before, 37.5. 32 is actually the cumulative frequency before quartile 3. So this is the value, cumulative frequency, quartile 3 minus 1. And then over here below this we have 10. The denominator is 10. This is actually come from the frequency of the quartile 3 equals to 10. And then class size is 10. You calculate using calculator, you are going to get 75. So this is using formula. So let's say the question asks you to draw cumulative frequency polygon or ogive. Cumulative frequency polygon. So let's say you already have this graph. So in order for you to find the value, first of all, you need to calculate the position of the first and third quartile. So based on the position of the first and the third quartile, so the first quartile, the value is 12.5. So this is the position, 12.5. So you need to draw the dotted line over here, and then you read the value from the x-axis. So this is your quartile 1, 54.5. So for quartile 3, the position is 37.5. So from y-axis, you need to find 37.5 somewhere over here. So based on the dotted line, and then you read the value x-axis, so you are going to get 75.5. So this is how you need to find quartile 1 and quartile 3 value based on cumulative frequency polygon or ogive.